that The Economist came out with a quite a bit of new reporting on a new crop of leaders that are filling the leadership vacuum in Iran. And this is what The Economist writes. The Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps is consolidating power in Iran. Battle-hardened and results-driven, they are focused on security and repression. And they're turning the theocratic foundations of the Islamic Republic into a military dictatorship. So there you have it, Richard. We've been warning about this for quite some time. You want regime change? You may get regime change. But believe it or not, the regime change that Donald Trump got is even more radical than the radicals that ran Iran for the first 47 years of their existence.
Absolutely, Joe. And as if we needed it, it's another lesson that bad situations can get worse. And that's what we're seeing in Iran. And these people are not interested in, at the moment, in negotiating, certainly not to end the war. My fear is over time, they're likely to be more interested than ever in acquiring nuclear weapons. So I would, we haven't been talking about that a lot because we're focusing on the Strait of Hormuz. But that issue, shall we say, has not gone away. So when history looks at this, I got to tell you, Joe, this is going to be a high on the fiasco list of basically a self-generated situation that I think is going to plague the Middle East and the world for years or even decades to come.
Jonathan Lemire, we've been talking now for 2 days about what Donald Trump has called economic D-Day. They realize that military might is not going to finish the job. In Iran now, it's about the economy. We heard again yesterday from Scott Bessent, more of the chest thumping. This is going to be the greatest package of economic sanctions the world has ever seen, without a whole lot of detail. So is it actually happening? Unfortunately, these days, we have to ask that question, number one. And number two, do we have any shape to it? What's it going to look like?
Yeah, the White House, not exactly reliable narrators, well, about anything, but particularly on measures with Iran. And the answer is they're still working on it, so we don't know just yet. But there are a lot of questions that have to be answered. One is, okay, maybe there'll be more sanctions against Iran, fine. But what about, as Trump threatened, against those who are still doing business with Iran? Is this the moment where he will finally step up and get tough with Russia, China, North Korea? More on them in a second. We will see. He has to this point been reluctant. Yes, a flurry of a trade war with China at the sometime last year. Quickly, a truce called. As we have been documenting for a better part of a decade, President Trump has never really been tough with Vladimir Putin and Russia. So therefore, if he can't do those things, then Iran's going to continue to be able to limp on. And there's no doubt their economy is hurting. We should stipulate that. Iran's economy is hurting, but the hardliners in charge, especially now with this reporting about the Revolutionary Guard consolidating power, they don't care about your average citizen in Iran. They just want to maintain power. So that's piece one. But piece two, to what Richard just said about the nuclear program, that is, I think, about to come to the forefront again, in part because Trump inadvertently has put it there in the last few days. Our friend Tom Nichols, who just wrote a very smart analysis for The Atlantic, noting that North Korea's regime has managed to survive and now, gets flowers from President Trump, these love letters. He wants to have another summit. He's not willing to have military force against North Korea or even much in the way of economic pressure to this point. Why? Because they have nuclear weapons. And Iran can see that. Iran got attacked because they don't, in many ways. North Korea continues to survive because they do. And guys, this would seem to be just more incentive for Tehran to try to race to deliver that sort of weapon because they think it's a way to ensure that the regime survives.
Well, and of course, Willie, this article in The Economist, they're talking about the 7 men who are now being put out there as leaders of the country. Following up on what Jonathan said about how they don't care about how the economy's going, the Economist goes down the 7 men who are now leading this country. One of them is responsible for brutally cracking down on any protests. Another one is responsible for keeping people off the streets to protest and using any repressive tactics that needs to be done. A third is the one responsible for cracking down on women's rights. The one that led the charge in making sure that women kept their faces covered 4 years ago when that was going on. So this is a regime that is focused on repressing their own people and pushing back and kicking the United States, as The Economist says, out of the Middle East.
Yeah, and someone along the way convinced President Trump that this was going to be like Venezuela somehow. Go in, knock out the top of the regime, and democracy will flourish. The people will rise up in the streets. Obviously a much more complicated problem in Iran. And also yesterday on the economic side, you had Treasury Secretary Bessent saying effectively, we're going to go after our allies now with an "are you with us or are you against us" posture. We're going to talk, you do any business with Iran or you don't side with us on these global economic sanctions, you're off the list. So President Trump has attacked South Korea for not helping us in Iran. He's going after allies. Our allies in the Gulf are being attacked by Iran. He's going after Oman. And now saying, Scott Bessent, if you're not with us on these economic sanctions, you're against us.